Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Before I start, I want to say a tremendous Chaya. We have a tremendous staff, people that do unbelievable work, and most of them are already in America. Avremi Cohen is on his flight to America. We realized that we don't have a cameraman. All the cameramen, we have 4 of them, they're on their way to America. So, Gary Ben Moshe drove his wife to the airport, and instead of catching his flight, he canceled his flight, and he's here with us today to do 4 shiurim. He's not 100% sure he's going to make it, but 4 shiurim he's going to do, and it just means that he has a harder flight, longer hours and everything. So a tremendous yishkoach to him for all the work he's doing today and all the years. He's been with us since day one, so yishkoach Gary. The Parnassa Avinu Chaim Zev ben Yosef Yehuda Leib. I'm going a little out of order because this is from, he donated for last night and today, and he's not on the regular things. I'm just going to say this. Avinu Chaim Zev ben Yosef Yehuda Leib, V'dedenu Yaakov Eliezer ben Yosef Yehuda Leib, Kleiner family from New York, Petach Tikva, and Bnei Brak. Rabbi said, I want to announce this. This is very, very important. Tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, we are going to be doing Sanhedrin Daf Beis. We're going to start Sanhedrin in Borough Park. In the hall, the ballroom hall, brand new hall. Last time we did it in his sister hall, and we had 1,500 people live. It's going to be a tremendous matzav. Come join us. Start the Masechta out. If you do Daf Yomi, if you don't do Daf Yomi, it's a great place to be. Sanhedrin Daf Beis at 8 o'clock. All of you that spoke, Yishar Koyach, because this is supposed to be one of these things that goes out. But I appreciate it. Thank you. The background noise is always highly appreciated.
Borough Park streets.
This is in Borough Park. Dov Eisenberger. Shalom Aleichem. 2 shiurim in 1 week. Ranana and here. Thanks for being here. You're the one that got your grandchild dressed in a onesie, Gishmak to the Daf onesie. Awesome. Way to start them off. I actually have a picture here. Interesting. I'll skip forward. Here's a wife sending me an email as the proud daughter of my chashav father, Rapini Taub. Rapini Taub, very famously, there's a video of him. We won't go into it right now, but he praised the MDY and he's going to be at the Shabbaton, the one on the right. And a wife of my dear husband, Shimi Weiss, SI 41, and Penny Taub is Staten Island 81. He's at Atzala. I felt there's no better way to welcome my second daughter to our MDY family and to start doing the daf with her right here in the hospital. This is a picture from the hospital, the cafeteria area, you know. Thank you for so thoughtfully arranging the Shabbos, the week of my daughter's Kiddush, so my father can celebrate together with the entire MDY family. So it's be'etzem a Kiddush, the whole Shabbaton is a Kiddush for Penny Taub's granddaughter. I hope you can make it. We only have very few rooms available, if any. May we be always zoicha to share in simchas together with Freiliche Hartzer. S. Weiss, Lakewood, New Jersey. I also included a picture of my husband learning with the big sister Chaya when she was born. Rabbi said, this is MDY Mishpacha through and through. No onesie yet. That will be on the merge. Dov is going to be selling it on the side. A very heartfelt email. We showed this picture of Zelig. Zelig has ALS. He's bedbound. And this really choked me up when I read it. I hope I don't choke up again. I read it last night and I choked up. This is from Mrs. Grumbaum. Hi, Rabbi Stefansky. First, I want to join the Klal Yisrael and thank you for your incredible work on behalf of all those whose lives were enhanced by Shiur. It's a highlight of my husband's day, and the joy it generates spreads to our entire family. She's not related to Zelig. Her husband also does the daf. So you should call her for that. Write to you as Zelig Nierenberg's caseworker at Refuah Helpline. From the onset of symptoms, been in touch with Zelig, and he himself managed to coordinate in every detail. But kids, I have to run through this. We don't have a lot of time. You know, at the end of the Masechta, there's a ton of emails, and the first day of Sanhedrin, we are not going to read emails because of all the other things that are going on. So it pauses. So let me just skip through this a little bit. He spoke like a lawyer, understood like a medical professor, was inspiring like a rabbi. I watched him go from one doctor to another. The kids are steadfast emunah, bitachon, they never wavered. He always said, Be'ezer Hashem. He always thanked her, Yasher Koyach. And then finally, he fell down a flight of stairs, broke this. He was losing his muscle, whatever it is that ALS does. They had to bring him to the hospital. And he had some questions Erev Shabbos, and he was asking the Rav what to do. And he said, it's very hard for me. And says Mrs. Grunbaum, she never heard these words come out of his mouth. It's very hard. And he was saying it like very slow and unsteady speech, voice. And what does that mean? It's very hard. He always had bitachon, always. And finally, he says, I'm skipping through this because I don't want to cry. He says, it's very hard for me to be Mechal Shabbos. So the kids I ruined it, but he cried and cried. So did I. I put down the phone on my desk and cried for this tzaddik. For an appreciation of Shabbos that I never witnessed. For a man who was at the beginning of a road, no human being should ever have to travel. The kids but this story I can never forget. This is supposed to bring joy to a tzaddik like this, standing your merit, and bring Mashiach b'karoi yemenu. Yishalom Hashem Zchor Pulascha, Mrs. G. Let me just show the picture of Reb Zelig one more time. Here he is. Matti Rosenberg. I've been working as a Rebbe in Miami for many years. About 10 years ago, another Rabbi, Mordechai Rosenberg, moved in. He's talking about the sugya of having the same name as somebody else in the city and the same grandfather. So he says, we both have sons named Moshe, and they both work in the same yeshiva. When the Avos Abundance learning program and Moshe Rosenberg won the raffle, they said, which one? They answered the son of Mordechai Rosenberg. They asked, which one? The one who's a Rebbe. They asked, which one? And then both Moshe's got a prize. A few months ago, we celebrated my son's Ufrof on the same Shabbos as the other Rabbi Rosenberg. We celebrated his son's Bar Mitzvah. You can imagine. People were giving us both mixed up mazel tovs throughout the entire Shabbos. The fun just keeps on going. I'm thinking now because my partner's name is Betsy Friedman. My brother-in-law's name is Betsy Friedman. So a lot of people said, the reason I didn't give your daughter a wedding gift is because I gave it to your partner, or they made up all sorts of. Anyway, by the way, now that you're adding voices to the animation, he does voices, so he's offering his thing. The fun just keeps on going, he says, in terms of the names being the same. Kol Tov, Moti Rosenberg. Regards to Stephen Raft, he might remember some of my characters. We've done some acting together in camp, whatever. Aber Enert, and then we'll start the daf. As you often mentioned, one of the milas of learning Daf Yomi is learning new habits. One of the new habits that I've started to habit is to learn Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Many people, it's not worth for them to start to learn Daf Yomi because they may only understand a little bit of that day's Shiur, and therefore it's a waste of time for them. Others may have, as we finish the Masechta, a nagging sense of imposter syndrome. One may question oneself, can I make a siyum if I didn't really learn the Gemara that well? A hug from Hashem, if you will, as we get ready to embark on a new Masechta. Today's halacha in Sif Hey, Simchav Zayin Sif Hey states, if somebody's learning Torah and he doesn't understand, he's not that bright, or he doesn't get it, so that's the idea, that when you learn Torah in this world, you get to learn that Torah in Olam Haba, but if you don't learn it in this world, you don't get to learn over there. Whoever engaged in Torah studies and is unable to comprehend due to the limitations of his mind will merit to understand it in the world to come. We see from here, if you sit to learn for 45 minutes and only pick up one halacha or a joke or maisa, the whole daf still goes into the memory bank and you can cash it upstairs. Rabbi say, Gishmak it is, you can chazer these stories over and over and over in Olam Haba. The emails, everything. As I often say, he says as a joke, as a vitz, it's not about the daf. It's about the Yomi. Thank you for another Masechta B'Yedidus Abba Renner. Let's jump into it, even though there's a few more. I got to read this. I'm not going to read his name. Sorry, can you please clarify it? When reading out my email yesterday, you called me an Amaretz for using the short form PG for please God. Didn't understand why you said that. Was only writing to say thank you for the years of learning with MD Wine Line, but now I think you turned me off totally. I said I'm an Amaretz. I said, I don't know what PG is. Am and Am Haaretz, and I said, Am and Am Haaretz in English and in Yiddish. But he took it, I said, I called him an Am Haaretz. Happens all the time. I insult people. When I insult them, they don't get it. When I don't insult them, they get insulted. I apologize for not insulting you. I hope you didn't get insulted from me. I insulted myself. See from here, you shouldn't talk Lashon Hara even on yourself. But I am an Am Haaretz in English and in Yiddish and in Hebrew. I'm not really good at any of them. All three of them I have issues with, and that's because I moved when I was a kid. First of all, okay, I don't know if you know this, but I only made it to 5th grade in English. 8th grade in Hebrew, 5th grade in English. I skipped 3 grades. So when I was in 5th grade in English, my parents moved to Israel. From there, I went to high school. Hence, my lack of math. I'm worse than a Panovich in math. And my English is not that great. And my Hebrew is not that great because I'm American in Israel. So the kids are in Yiddish, forget about. Tri-illiterate. There's such a thing. You know about this. Tri-illiterate. Rav Gifta used to make fun of these guys. I'm Haaretz and alle. Saif Yiddish, Saif English. Zok the Heilig sponsors. The Masechta sponsors for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnassa Chodesh Yosef Chaya, Lili Nishmas Yosef Chaya, Lili Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, or Chaya bas Yosef, I should say. Lili Nishmas Chaya bas Yosef, Lili Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe. So whoever's doing these sponsors got a little bit of a trick here. Refuat hanefesh go for Breina Bina bat Miriam. I don't even have to look at the screen. I know that Zoom's on the screen because I see live going like this. Or bracha bat Breina Bina, Netanel Kalev ben or bracha. Parnassa Chodesh for fasting complete Refuah sheleyma for Shmuel Nechemia ben Hinda. Parnassa Chodesh linishmas Silya bas Dvora, I'm assuming. They're all backwards here. Parnassa Chodesh linishmas Benimin Meir ben Zev David. Parnassa Shavor Refuah sheleyma for Yosef Chaim Shmuel ben Alta Nechama from his grateful family. Parnassa Shavor Yaakov Citron. Excited to meet everyone at the Shabbaton. Another person from our base measures who's going to be at the Shabbaton. By Mordechai Sapoznick, Zech Nishmas HaBoch Yisrael, Moshe, R Avrohom Dov, Miriam, is Neshama have an Aliyah, Amen. Parnassa Yoim, David Cohen, big Refuah sheleyma for Yonatan, Eitan, Ben, Basheva Bracha, and Lekovid, 49th birthday. Parnassa Yoim, Yaakov Yosef, Kritzler, Lili Nishmas, Yitzchak ben Avrom, Schuz Zivig Hogon, Osher Lemel, Ben Perel Pnina. And this we said already by the Kleiner families of New York, Bnei Brak, and Petach Tikva in honor of our father and uncles, Yortzeit today, to Zayin Kislev, Reb Chaim Zev, ben Reb Yosef Yehuda Leib, and our uncle, Reb Yaakov Eliezer, ben Reb Yosef Yehuda Leib, art of the month for his chus for rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Rabbi Sai, here we go. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom, how are you? You're not new. Oh, the Levat Torah boys. So yesterday I was in Levat Torah, gave them a little bit of a speech, and 21 boys decided to try out Sanhedrin. So we're very proud of them. 21. I told them I didn't come. I really didn't come to convince them to do the daf, although I think it's a great thing for boys in yeshiva on their off time to do daf. So I wasn't expecting more than 5 guys to join. 21 is a tremendous number. We have a guy with us, Morty. This guy is a real piece. Get to know him. He is funny like anything. He has a lot of confidence and he knows what he's doing. He comes every single day to learn the daf from Levat Torah. He walks, and on the way back, I'm told by Benny that he watches the shiur and sometimes he even bumps into beams and all sorts of things. He's a great guy. And some guys actually got their fathers to join the shiur. They made some phone calls. So listen to this number. It's mind-boggling. 2,500. Okay, listen to it's not a number that we can understand. 2,500 Hebrew speakers joined our shiur for Sanhedrin. Over 1,000 English speakers joined the English shiur, so we're holding at 3,500. And we need to get more, especially more Americans. We got to catch up to those Hebrew numbers. We have a lot of Gemaras that we want to give out. Join dafyomi.com to get a free Gemara. The warehouse is full of Gemaras. We had Fishel and a few other people that donated hundreds of Gemaras for this cause. Fishel's thing, by the way, this is also mind-boggling. Where is it? What's the updated number? 178 Chayalim signed up for 2,000 shekel to finish Sanhedrin. They have lighter expectations. If they miss a day because they're doing their thing, and even if they learned Daf Yomi before, they could do it. I met a Chayal yesterday. I convinced him in 5 minutes. 235 Americans were eligible, because to be eligible, that means you never did Daf Yomi before, so 235, that's 200, if they all finish, that's $235,000 that the official is going to give out, and he's really hoping they'll all finish, and he's begging me to get more. So Beis Hashem will have more. That adds, so that adds to the American number. Let's say we have 1,200 people, so there's 435. Okay, anyways, Panovich math. Zok Tehel Gemar. Here's the two questions. Today's Daf Kuf Ayin Hey. Where are my questions here? I had an interesting question. If somebody wants to be smart and have a sharp mind, what part of the Torah should he learn? Anybody? No, there's a specific part. And Leivy's going to get it wrong. He thinks he knows because he learned it yesterday. He's going to get it wrong. After everybody says, what do you say? Nezikin. Who says Nezikin? Why do you say Nezikin? Huh? Maybe. What do you say, Levy? Try. You said, what do you say? He says Mamonis. Good. So we're going to see. It's very interesting. It's a Mishnah, actually, that tells you what to do if you want to get smart. There's a very, very big question on it. Another thing that, you know what? I won't ask this question because really, I don't think we're going to get there today. It's the bottom of Amud Beis. So I'll ask the question. Here, I'll put it. Here's the question. You can think about it. How is it possible for an ox who's a muad, who typically if he kills a human being, you kill the ox? There's a situation where an ox like that kills a human being. Not only does he not have to pay anything, you have to pay him for killing a human being. How is it possible? So that's a sugya. It is possible. And let's start from Vaha Arev. We had an incredible story here of Moshe Bar Otzri. That's the name of the guy. He was a wealthy individual. Seems a little stingy. We can relate to this. Your son's in Kolel. He's struggling. I know a guy. I'm related to a guy. Maisa Shahaya. He was giving his kids, his mother died, and she left the Yerusha. Pretty nice, some Yerusha. And he had a son, a multimillionaire, who did a nice exit out of a nice company, a high-tech company, a multimillionaire. He had other children, and he was taking this money from his mother, and he was dividing it between his children. And he told me as follows. I remember him telling me. He said, I'm giving my multimillionaire son, I'm giving this one. I am not giving my son in Kolel. I appreciate Kolel and I love Kolel. But why does a Kolel guy need more money? He lives a simple life. He doesn't need more money. So I said, so what? You're going to give the money to the millionaire? Yes. The guy in Kolel wants a simple, he doesn't need a car. He doesn't want a car. He doesn't need the money. Some people have interesting attitudes towards that. Here's another guy. His name is Moshe Bar Otzri. He has a son, a massive Talmud Chacham, struggling to live and make a living. Abaya says, I have a great idea. Since he's acting silly, he's not only his son, but he's also a Talmud Chacham. Let's trick the father. Let's have them get divorced. And legally, if they get divorced, since the father, Moshe Bar Otzri, is signed on the ksuba as a guarantor, he would have to pay for the ksuba. The kids will take the ksuba money and they'll live off the ksuba money. The Gemara says, how can you do that? You're a Russia, you're giving him bad advice. The Gemara says, no, in this case, since the son is a Talmud Chacham, and it's a son, sometimes you got to take extreme measures. The Gemara now asks, let's say, 18, 20 lines from the bottom. Vaha Arevu. The father, at the end of the day, is only a guarantor. V'kaimelon, and we already established, Arev the ksuba le mishtabet. There is no such thing as a guarantor in a ksuba, as we're going to explain very shortly. Why? This is not a loan, this is a ksuba. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. Because when people guarantee a ksuba, all they're trying to do is they're trying to be a shatchan. You know how shatchanim are not 100% honest? 100% of the time? They lie a little bit. They want the shidduch to go. And therefore, this guy said, yeah, I'm going to pay for the ksuba, don't worry, just get married. They don't really mean it. And at the end of the day, they might have a taina because they're trying to do a mitzvah. They're not making anybody lose anything. Let's get married. So Mela, there's no such thing as a guarantor by Ksuba. Says the Gemara, okay, the story was different. Kablan Hava. He wasn't a guarantor. He was a super guarantor. He's a Kablan, he already said 10, like, whatever, he said 10 law. Whatever the Lashon is that you have to be. So therefore, he's committed to it and he has to pay the Ksuba. Says the Gemara, Hanich Lamadama Kablan the Ksuba. This reminds me actually of a story. A guy comes to Chicago to collect money. He goes to the son of a big wealthy guy, one of the nursing home guys, and the son writes him a check of like $1,000. He's all excited, $1,000. He says, oh, if the son wrote me $1,000, can you imagine the father, the gazillionaire? So he goes to the father, knocks on the door, and he gets the standard $18 check. Tells the father, what's my high? Well, your son gave me $1,000. He said, oh, my son has a rich father. I don't. So this guy has a rich father, and the father's the kablan over here. But that's all good. That's all good. According to the Mandama, that says that if you're a kablan, now here for the first time we're seeing something interesting. There's an afkamina whether the person you're guaranteeing the loan for has property or not. If at the time of the loan you had property, so you are being mishabed yourself. You are guaranteeing the loan. But that's only according to the Mandam. It says that you could be a kablan in a ksuba, which is really bad. Arif doesn't work as we see by ksuba. We'll see in a second. Even though the husband doesn't have anything to his name, you could nevertheless be a guarantor. Shapir, it works out. But if it makes a difference whether the chassan has belongings or not, and if he doesn't have belongings, you cannot be a guarantor. Michael Maimar, this chassan, obviously, if he's married for a few years and has no money, so certainly he didn't have any money when he got married. So how did the father become a guarantor, even a kablan guarantor? According to the Sman Omer, you have to have belongings, and the chassan didn't have belongings. He was very wealthy, the chassan's son. He had a, what is it called? The syndrome, the baby, when a father gives, what is it called when you give your kid, every month money comes out? Trust fund. He had a trust fund when he got married, so therefore you could be a kablan. The thing is, the trust fund went five. He spent it all. And now he doesn't have any money. We're talking about a son and a father, and therefore a father always guarantees for a son, even where in a typical case you wouldn't be a good guarantor, but because you're a father, you go out of your way and you guarantee it. The itmar. So now the Gemara just brings the whole thing. Arev, a regular guarantor, the ksuba, in a ksuba, the reakal, loy mishtabed. It does not work. You cannot guarantee ksuba. Kablan, if you're the super type of arev, the balchayiv, the reakal mishtabed. If it's a loan, 100%, you become meshubed, you give it all, you take responsibility yourself. Kablan ksuba, the balchayiv. But what happens when you're a kablan and a ksuba? We said ksuba is terrible. Arev is also very weak. So Arev by a regular loan and a kablan of a ksuba, then we have a machlokes. Pligi. Mar savar yislei nichsei lelev mishtabed leslei le mishtabed. Depends whether or not the chassan has belongings. He has something to back it up at the time of his marriage. Umar savar bein nislei bein leslei mishtabed. It doesn't matter what the chassan has. You could always become a guarantor if you're a super guarantor. You're the kablan guarantor. The hilchasa. How do we pass in Shulchan Aruch? Arev bein nislei ubein leslei mishtabed. We see this every day. A lot of us become guarantors on loans, whether the borrower has belongings or not. We don't look into, does he own an apartment, not this, that. We just go with it. Bar me'orv the ksuba. But a guy guaranteeing ksuba is different. The avagav the islay lebal loy mishtabed. Even if the husband, the chassan is wealthy and he has something to back it up, the guarantor is not mechuyev to pay it. Why? My taima mitzvah da'avad v'lav midi chasra. Number one, we're trying to marry these people off. It's a mitzvah. Second of all, what does the woman have to lose? She married a guy. My chavrusa told me, and he told this to me a few times, and now I understand it better. He said he made a shidduch, he made a bunch of shidduchim, right? Every time after I say it, so people run over to him and say, no, I have a daughter, do you have something? He's doing the shidduch, and the girl said, I'm not interested. So he said, why? So she starts telling him. He says, I guarantee it's a good one. He says, you guarantee it? Yeah, I guarantee it. So they get married. They got married. So he tells me, I thought to myself, what does it mean I guarantee it? And if it doesn't work out, I have to pay, like, what am I guaranteeing? They got married, now they're not married. What is he guaranteeing? He's going to undo it, he's going to pay for the wedding? Like what? What does guarantee mean? She's not missing anything, says the Rashbam. Nothing happened. He's not taking money out of her pocket. She got married. Didn't work out. I'm just trying to help out over here. So Mela, when it comes to Ksuba, nobody really means it. And here's an asmachta for all the shatchanim that don't say the truth 100% of the time. Omer Avuna. New sugya. Rabbi said new sugya. We're going back to the Shchimra that we discussed so much in length and it was in, what is it called, the parak over there, Mishemeis and Yeshnoichlin. Shchimra, Shikdish Kol Chasav. A guy's on his deathbed and he decides to give all 100% of his belongings to Hegdish, to the Beis HaMikdash. And a couple days later he remembers, whoa, wait a minute, I owe $10,000 to so-and-so. Neman, he's believed, but he already gave everything to Beis HaMikdash. No. Nobody in their right mind is going to make some sort of shtick against the Beis HaMikdash. You're not going to steal from Hashem. You gave it to Hashem, great. The fact is that he owes $10,000, so he wasn't able to give those $10,000 to Hashem. So you take that $10,000 and you give it to somebody else. So it's true that nobody plays games with Hegdish. But what if he wasn't playing a game? What if this is a common thing that people do and it makes 100% logical sense here? Now what? There is a concept that we'll see that sometimes people fake it. We see it all the time. There are people that fake it. We're more familiar with the people that fake their wealth. They drive nicer cars than they could afford. They have nicer homes than they could afford, nicer clothing. That we know. There's a lot of people that have a lot of money and you'll never know it. Never. Right? If you looked at Warren Buffett, you wouldn't know. He drives an old Buick. He has a dilapidated house. There's a lot of very, very wealthy people you'll never know. And there's this guy right over here. He doesn't want, you all know what happens when somebody wins the lottery, or there's another word to Yerusha, lottery. The guy comes into $30 million, and now all of a sudden everybody's his best friend, and every yeshiva's at his door. The father doesn't want this. The father doesn't want this kid to suffer. So he makes up stories. He says, I owe this guy money, and I owe that guy money. He's lying. He's lying because he wants to save his son. It's called Loila Hasbia. So why don't we say that same logic by Hegdish? Maybe the guy doesn't owe $10,000 to anyone. He's just trying to pretend that he's not wealthy. Why? I know a guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and not once did he give any money that I know of to our shul. Nothing, zero, nothing. Now, I'm not going to tell you what shul, where, when. Live different places. Never gave any money. Nobody knows. So people talk really not nicely about it. This, that. What if he was smart and said, I don't have hundreds of millions. I owe this one, that, and I lost a lot of money in the stock market, and now you don't ask Bitcoin, I lost this. He makes up stories. And then you start looking at him in a different light. It's a big nebuch. Not only, we should probably raise money for him. It's a big nebuch. So that's what this guy's doing. Does a person play games with the sons? No. The guy that's dying that says, I owe 100 to so-and-so, Omar Tnu knows them. It depends. If he said the words Tnu, I want you to pay it off, then you pay it off. He's just throwing it out there. Oh, by the way, I owe money to so-and-so. We don't think he's very serious. Why? There's a concept called Shalei Lesbias Banov. He's trying to hide the fact that he's wealthy. He doesn't want people. I have an uncle that was just nifter. He won in the newspaper it said he won the lottery here in Israel. So everybody started coming to him. They were driving him crazy. So he showed, I was there with my mom, showed us a letter from Mefala Payas. It said like this, Harav Shalom Stefansky, Lo Zacha Baloto, but between Zacha and Loto, he put white out. He put like a Tipex, it's called in Hebrew, Tipex. Lo zacha, space, white out, veloto, sign, mifal pais. So he gives it to my mom. So my mom goes like this. It says he didn't win the second prize. So we learned that maybe he won the first prize. The kids, some shtick was there, but he didn't want people to know. So his entire life, he never told anybody whether he won or didn't. He has this piece of paper that says, you got to put Tipex away. He's a rookie. Or he didn't have enough money for Tipex, whatever. So too by Hegdish, when a person, all of a sudden he dies. Imagine, this miser, this guy that never helped the shul, never helped the yeshiva, always asked for tuition breaks. And suddenly he's giving $30 million to the local Beis HaMikdash. What is going on here? This guy lived a terrible life. People are going to stone his caver. So you know what he does? He says, no, I owe money. I owe money to so-and-so. But he wasn't being serious. Don't give that so-and-so money. He just wants people to think that he's poor. So says the Gemara, Ki Amar Ravuna Hasam Dinakach story, top of Kufayin Hey. When did Ravuna say that you should give that guy $10,000 by Hegdish? When the guy produces a shtar. He comes to the Shchiv Mirah with the shtar and says, you owe me $10,000, and the Shchiv Mirah says, oh, you're right, I remember. So that's not playing games. He's not trying to maneuver and position himself that he's not wealthy. He actually owes him money, so pay it off. So the bottom case that with Rav and Shmuel that say that if by sons, when a person says, I owe so money, don't give him. Because he's trying to pretend he's not wealthy. So over there wasn't a shtar. Michlal, the Rav and Shmuel, the Naked shtar, there's no shtar. But wait a minute, if there's no shtar, there's two types of loans. There's a loan with a shtar that's very, very strong. You can go after sold real estate. And there's a weaker loan that there's no shtar. You just do it, you pass money to your friend in a shul. Maybe you have two witnesses, whatever it is, but it's a milval pet. So the question is, how's that possible? If we're talking about a case with no shtar, so then why should the Yisayim pay? Now, there is a concept, I'm just pointing out the Rashbam on the screen, there's a concept called mitzvah l'kayim divrei hames. Whether or not the father owes the money or not, but he says, pay this off, there's a mitzvah to listen to him. So maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe there's a mitzvah to listen to him. So the Rashbam says no, but it doesn't say the guy died. It says even if he's not dead, you should pay it. So that has nothing to do with divrei hames. This has to do with, do you owe the money or not? So you're right, even in the case of Rabbi Shmuel, when he's telling his son, listen, I owe $10,000 to somebody, and we say that he's messing with them, or he's messing with the world. He doesn't want the world to know that he's giving so much money to his kids. It's talking about there was a shtar. So what's the difference? Why in one case you listen, in one case you don't? By Hegdish, the shtar had a kiyum. What's a kiyum? Rabbi Isai. Oh, hempek. So you're learning new. If this is your first day doing Daf Yomi, so here's a concept that you never heard probably. It's called a hempek. It means to certify the shtar. On the bottom of the shtar, the Bezdin signs, they put a stamp, they say, we know the shtar to be a real shtar, so then later on you don't have to go look for the Eidim, etc. So it's Mekoyim. It's Mekoyim, go pay it. Ha, delay Mekoyim. But in the case of Rav and Shmuel, it's not Mekoyim, you don't have the stamp, so you don't have to pay that loan. How do you know if it's Mekoyim or not? Omar Tnu, Kaim L'Shtar. If he says the word Tnu, then it's automatic Kiyum. Like Kaim L'Shtar. But if he didn't say Tnu, then he's just trying to pretend there's no money so that nobody runs after their children for money. A guy who's dying, he says, I owe X amount of money to so-and-so. When the Yisayim come along and they say, we paid it up, this is the Havamin of the Gemara, Ne'emanim, they believe that they paid it. If he said a very, very strong language, not only do I owe it, but I want you to pay it to new money leplaining. There's one thing saying I owe. I owe can mean, maybe, yes. Maybe. To new means pay up. That's the strongest language possible. And the Yisayim say on that case, we paid it up, ain't the money did not believe. Says Gemara Klapelaya, that doesn't make any sense. It's not logical what you're saying. It's the exact opposite. If the father is very certain, he said Tnu, so it makes sense that the Yisayim listened to him. He said, pay it up. So they paid it up, so we should believe them. But if he said a very weak language, I owe that guy money, he never said pay it. Maybe the father wasn't so sure. The opposite, it makes more sense that the Yisayim in that case didn't pay, not that he did pay. So in fact, we have to say, the Shchim said, I owe money. And the Yisayim said that the father, not us, the father told us that he paid it up. He didn't, right? He didn't say pay. He said, I paid. Nemanim, they're believed, my time with Kurimidka. The father remembered that he owes money. But if he said, he gave them a demand. He told them, he said, you should pay. And then the Yisayim come up with this whole shtick. That the father said he paid, for that they're not believed. Since he told them, you sons, please pay that guy, he put the onus on them, so he wouldn't take it back. He was so sure about it, he wouldn't take it back. A guy comes to a guy's dying, right? So what's the nice thing to do when a guy's dying in bed? You come to him and say, you owe me $1 million. And he says, yeah, I owe you $1 million. Is that enough? He's a shchimera. Now, typically speaking, if you're walking in shul and some clown comes over and says, hey, you owe me $1 million. What is it? Every normal guy, what's the response to that? Yeah, I owe you $1 million. And you keep on walking. Does that mean anything? Zero. If you do it in front of two witnesses and you say, yes, I owe you $1 million, now that's a different story. But a shchimera, as we know from everything that we learned in Bava Basra, the special halach is about a shchimera, he's dying, so maybe we got to take his word seriously. Does he have to take these two guys and say, hey, you're my witnesses or not? Does he have to tell them, write this down or not? What's the question? Is a person a clown when he dies or not? He's being very serious. Here. He's pushing that thing on the bottom, that the squeezy. Does that person act like that a few minutes before he dies? I don't think so. Says the Gemara, a person becomes serious. Says, I should have learned more. I should have done more tzedakah. I should have done more chesed. I should have been nice to my family. I should have spent more time with my family. What? I should have brought more people to the daf. I should have done more for the daf. I should have made Eli Stefansky a birthday party yesterday. Whatever, the whole thing. Basa the baya the pashta. Basa the baya the pashta. Ein adam mishate b'shas misa. A person is not a letz when he's about to die. V'divrei, and you should know, and this just sums up all those prakim. It was literally 2 months. V'divrei shchimera kiksuvim v'chemesurim damu. A person that's dying, he doesn't have to write, and he doesn't have to say anything. Whatever he says is as if it's written, as if it's done. He gave it over. Shalom Yisrael. Says the Elegant Mishnah, Hamalvis Chaver B'shtar Goyvim Menechasim Yishu Abadim. So this is a whole little sugya that we're very familiar with this, that when you take out a loan, your property has a lien on it. Yeah, we're familiar. Anybody that owns a house, anybody that owns money to the bank, you have a mortgage, your property has a lien on it. If you don't pay the mortgage, what's going to happen? They take your house. In the time of the Gemara also, you lend money to your friend, there's a lien on your property that's meshubad. There's property that's meshubad, it's connected to the loan, there's property that's not. Now, there's another concept that we learned, and we should all know this concept. What if you write a document? Here, so let's just show how it works for a second. Maybe like this here. Okay. There's a loiva and a malva. The malva is the lender. The loiva gets $100 from the malva, and they write a shtar. Now, on the shtar, in this case, there's no mention of a lien. Is there a lien or not a lien? Yes. Why? Tov soifer. Achrayus tov soifer. Very good. See, another concept. Achrayus, I'll just show it to you so you remember. Put it in your bank. Achrayus tov soifer. If a person does not write specifically in the document that there's a lien, it doesn't matter. It just tells us that the soifer messed up. He made a toes. You made a mistake. But it's automatic that there's a lien. If you write a document, as long as you write a shtar, there's a lien on your property. So let's go back to that case for a second. Here we go. So the Malva gives $100 on Sunday, on Yom Aleph. He gives him a shtar, and now there's a lien. His property becomes connected to the Malva. The loiva goes and sells the property. Is he allowed to sell it? Yes, he's allowed to sell it. But the lien remains. The lien remains. So if the loiva doesn't pay up the loan, then the Malva comes and kicks the buyer out of there, the poor buyer. What did the buyer do wrong? What did he do wrong? What should have he done differently? He what? He should have, what he's saying, what Ari's saying, Ari's he's basically finished us, and he remembers a lot. I don't know how much. I didn't ask him. How much? How much do you remember by heart? He does. He's a big honor. At least half of it. I'm just throwing it out because I know he did many misafas with Chazara. So anyways, Ari says that he should have known because there's a shtar and Adam inside the shtar, so the whole world knows about it. It's a known thing. You should know about it. Today it's called a title search. You do a title search. In those days, the word went out. You should have known. But if Adam is just to Adam, like this case, let's go back to here and we'll start from here. Just Adam, Kobe fixed it. He put Adam in there, but what happens is he got rid of the animation. So if there's two Adam, but no document, then the Malva cannot take the property. Why? Because there's no call. There's no rumor running around telling people that this guy owes money on that and there's a lien on the property. Amud Beis. And what if, look at this, Rabbi Isai. I, Nachman Seltzer, I owe Gary Ben Moshe 1 million shekel, and this is all in Nachman Seltzer's handwriting. Maybe, I don't know what it is. This is in Yoshi's handwriting. That's not a shtar. There's no Adam, but it's his handwriting. So that has the power of, that's like a milval peh, but it's powerful. Let's just do the sponsors before I forget. Turning of the Daf for Kislev, Innovations LLC, and my uncle Rebbe Chanan Pressman, official, should be Schus, Vakiv Simcha, and Fego, Shilch for Refuat this Chaya, and a huge thank you to Rebbe Stefansky, plus all the brachas. Danny Fine and Rob Ernst of Elite Israel Realty, welcome all the new Olim, probably start with you on your journey to finishing shots together. Weiter in the Mishnah, 2 lines down from Kufayin Hey on Beis. Arev, Hayotze Lacher Chitum Shtaris. Typically speaking, the Arev should be, right, you see over here, this is Gary Ben Moshe, Marab Ben Akash sign. The Arev should be above that. In this case, the Arev is underneath the Adam. I guess that's one of the guys in Syria, no? Bashar Ben Chafa, I don't know. This is not a real shtar. He's not on the shtar. He's under the shtar. The shtar is already finished with the Adam. So therefore, you can only collect from unencumbered property. But not, let's say, karka, real estate that he sold to somebody else. He certainly can't go after real estate that he sold. Maisu ba l'fnei Rabbi Shmuel. There's a story. Rabbi says story time. So he said, yeah, in fact, this since you're an Arev, but what happened there? A guy guaranteed the loan, and now you're coming after the guarantor, and he sold the property to somebody else. You can't take that property. You can go after other stuff. A guarantor like this that signs after the Adam, you can't go after him at all. Why not? Listen to this unbelievable reasoning over here. Let's say a guy doesn't pay you. So what's your natural response? Choke him out. Kill him in the middle of the marketplace. Great idea. So he starts killing this guy. So a guy comes along and says, hey, don't kill him. I'll pay the loan. Question, is he a guarantor or not a guarantor? The loan happened 2 years ago. He's draining the guy a cup for 2 years. Finally, he's about to kill him. He's literally choking him. He's choking him. And you come along and say, I'll pay it. I take responsibility. You're an Arev or not? Says Bananas, it doesn't make any sense. You're not an Arev. Why not? But what's the logic? Why not? Think. Ari, why not?
No, she would at the time of the loan.
Oh! Talking like a Talmud Chacham, Ari. There's no shit. You have to be the one causing the loan. I'm lending money to so-and-so because you took responsibility. If I'm lending money to so-and-so because I like so-and-so, and later on I hate him, I want to kill him, and then you take responsibility, that's too late. Leave him alone and I'll give you the money, Potter. He doesn't have to pay. He's not a guarantor. Because he didn't lend him the money based on you, the guarantor. What's a good guarantor? If at the time of the loan, lend him money and I take guarantee, then you're chayiv. He lent the money like every gemach today. They won't lend anybody a dime unless guarantees the guy that comes here every single day. Myers, he davens here in the front, has a nice brow. He has millions of shekel that he lends out, and he told me most people pay back, 99% of the people pay back, but all have guarantors, right? He lives like in your building or something? No? Yeah. He's a Rebbe, yeah? He lives in your building? No, you know what I'm talking about. If you want to be smart, you should learn Nezikin. I got to show you this video here. Check this out. Some of it's in Hebrew, some it's not. It's kind of long, but I think it's very important. To appreciate learning Gemara, learning that lesson. This we could have done without. Sorry, I didn't have time to...
בטוחים שפרסי הנובל שמקבלים יהודים קשורים ללימודי הגמרא. כך לפחות אפשר להסיק ממספר לומדי הגמרא שם. ומעניין שישראל מעוררת בנו אבישי בן חיים בלבד לצוות טלוויזיה מדרום קוריאה שבא לבקר.
North Koreans, they believe...
ניסיונות לפצח את סוד הגניום היהודי. בטלוויזיה שהגיעה במיוחד מדרום קוריאה, הישיבה היוקרתית פונוביץ'.
This is the reason why we came to see the real Talmud. Jewish is known for Nobel Prize. You guys have more than 200 people who won the Nobel Prize. This is the reason why Korean people are so curious about how Jewish people study. Why Jewish people are so smart.
בקוריאה, כך עולה מדבריהם, הגיעו למסקנה שהמוח היהודי הוא תוצאה של דורות על דורות של לימוד תלמוד, והם רוצים גם.
We don't have any good place, any good school for Talmud in Korea.
מתורגם לקוריאנית הפך ללהיט. רבים לומדים וחולמים לפענח את הטכניקה ולחדד את מוחם.
אבל אם אני רואה שהמצב שלם הוא לעולם אסור, אז אתה רואה שבכל העולם...
Fine. So...
You can be illiterate in 4 languages.
Oh... He said I could be illiterate in 4. How do you say quad literate? Quad illiterate. Okay. It happens to be, the Marshal says, and that's exactly why we continue on to Masechta Sanhedrin, because we're doing Mamanis, and what better way than to become a dayan and be, the top of Mamanis, knowing the stuff inside out. That's how you become very smart. The question really is that in Gemara Shabbos it says, if you want to be really smart, you have to learn Kachim, not Mamanis. So the Chassam Sofer says, what it means is, yes, Kachim is the most difficult, it's the hardest, and after we finish Nezikin, we're going into Kachim, it's going to be very Gishmak. But he says, if you want to know how to learn Kachim, Yasik B'dinim Mamanis, then you should learn Nezikin. Because it's based on the Pasuk, Chayzin Shua Das, Chachma is Kachim. Okay. Shein L'cha Mek'tsoya, the Ben Yehoyada says, you don't have a profession like Batoira Yosemehem. So the Ben Yehoyada, Ben Ishchai asks, why Mek'tsoya? Why is Torah called a profession? So he says if you switch the letters around, Mek'tsoya means tsoyakim, yelling, screaming. He says, if you go to a Rav and say, can I eat this pizza that was in my freezer over Pesach? And he says, absolutely not. So what are you going to do? You take the pizza and you throw it in the garbage. You have a shayla on a chicken. You take the chicken and throw it in the garbage. You're going to say a word to the dayan? No. But you go to the dayan and the dayan says, you owe Reuven money, tzayakim. He starts screaming. He says, what's the difference? Oh, that's a Kodesh Baruch. Kodesh Baruch said you shouldn't eat the pizza. Oh, and what about this? No. It's his fault. It's this, that. That's tzayakim. That's dinim maminis. It's a miktzay. That's what he said. I thought it's cute. It's like a spring that keeps on going. And if you want to be good at monetary judgments and things, Yishamish is Shimon ben Anas. This is Rabbi Shmuel's arguing on Shimon ben Anas, and he says, you're wrong. He's saying, you know what? But if you want to do well in it, you should serve shim bananas. There's a guy in the New York subway. He said, "How are you Jews so smart?" He says, "Because we eat fish tails all the time." He said, "Fish tails?" Well, he says, "Yeah." He says, "You have any fish tails?" He says, "Yeah." He said, "How much are they?" He says, $90 for 2 fish tails. So he gives him $90 and he eats the fish tail and he says, "Wait a minute. Isn't this the same fish tail I could buy in the store for $2? He says, "Oh, you see, it's already working." Omar Ula, Dvar Torah echad milva b'shtar v'echad milva al peh goy b'menachas m'shua badim. Min HaTorah, when you take a loan, whether it's with a document, without a document, even without a document, you owe the money. I showed you the pasuk yesterday. There's another pasuk that I said also yesterday. I like the other one, but here the Rashbam just brings this. You see, there's a Torah obligation to pay somebody. You should take out the security from your house. Whatever you have in your house, you owe it to the guy. It's not just you. It's not your obligation in your mind. It's your belongings are obligated to that other person. Whatever you have in the house is obligated. My taima, shibudu de'oraisa. So let's just do this for a second right over here. So says Ula, that whether you do a shtar peh, you're meshubed min HaTorah. So how come when there's no shtar, it's only by heart, you do it with your mouth, you give a guy a loan without a shtar, you can't go after his real estate or the encumbered, because what's a guy that's going to buy your property? How is he supposed to know about it? If there's a shtar, he knows about it. He can do a title search. No shtar, no title search. So then how come when you do it with a shtar, you could go after his stuff? We should care about the buyers. He should have done a nice search. He should have known about it. He should have heard it. It's his own fault. He did it himself. Rabba Omar, comes Rabba, check this out. Rabba is a different color. It's red. Rabba says the opposite. My time is Shibud Lav De'oraisa. Since it's not in the Torah, the obligation, so therefore, you shouldn't go after anything, not even real estate. You don't go after anything. So how come Chacham said he could go after real estate? That you shouldn't go, that people should want to lend money. If I could take all my property, I borrow from you $1 million, then I get rid of all my property, and I say, "Oh, sorry, I can't pay you." Nobody's going to lend money. Real quickly, there was the Panovich Rav said this as a joke, so I could say it over. Otherwise, I wouldn't use these words about the Brisker Rav. Everybody knows the Brisker Rav had what is called nervin. Like he was very careful about things. His matzahs. So the Panovich Rav once said, the difference between me and the Brisker Rav is very simple. When I go to sleep, I tell my son, lock the front door, and I go to sleep. The Brisker Rav, he tells one son, lock the door, and then he tells his second son 15 minutes later, and then another 10 minutes, and then at the end he just gets up and goes to the door. So they told the Brisker Rav, they said, this is what the Panovich Rav said. So the Brisker Rav said everything that he said is true, but he missed one point. When I get up, after my 4 sons lock the door, to lock the door, I always find the door is open. Ihachi, milval pe nami. So if he's so concerned about people lending money, so even when there's a loan without a document, he should go after whatever real estate so that people should lend money. You can't do that because nobody knows about it. So check this out. Look at this. Just look at the chart for a second. There's another color there, meaning these two things don't line up. Think about this, Gevaldik. We know, we got to do this first. We know that a Bechar doesn't take Roy, only Musik, meaning whatever the father had at the time of his death, he had 4 supercars. Then you divide those cars. The Bechar gets 2, all the other brothers get 1 each. What if the father's lottery ticket won after he died, $9 million? What do? You have to share it equally. There's no 2 times of Bechar. That's called Roy. What if the father lent $1 million to somebody and that guy comes to pay back with a piece of property after the father died? Is that Roy or Musik? What do you guys say? Most people are saying Roy. And you're saying it's mochzak. Why is it mochzak, Morty?
Because the deal happened before the father died.
Oh, so Morty might be right. You guys are wrong. That's what happens when you learn Levat Torah and you come to Daf and you steig every day. Because there's a lien on the property from the moment that he lent the money, so it's as if it's his property. The father never lost the property. The father had the property before he died. The guy's just transferring ownership, but it's his. Had a lien on it. And therefore, you divide it 2 parts to the B'chor, 1 part to the other guys. So what do you see from here? When you say that, that tells me that a lien is midaraisa. So here, let's look over here. Look at this. Rabbah, in fact, says the B'chor takes 2 parts. If it takes 2 parts, that means the karka is meshubad, midaraisa. So it doesn't line up with the thing on top. What do you do when things don't line up, Rabbi Yisai? You take a guy and you go like this. And now everything lines up. The rabbi maybe flip it around. Check this out. Oh, now this doesn't line up. Red and green doesn't line up. Why? Because Rabbi says Dvar Torah. Ula says Min HaTorah. You can only go after the worst property. Min HaTorah means Torah. It's not a Chachamim. So, and on top he says it's not Min HaTorah. It's red. It's not Min HaTorah. So green and red doesn't line up. Memela, we have to go back. We have to push it back this way, and just say that the bottom piece, the reason why it doesn't line up, it's not Rabbi at all. He was just quoting somebody else. He in fact holds like the red. The little piece in the bottom that doesn't line up with him, somebody else. I love when I do these charts, because even if you don't understand the word I said, you think you understood it. Yeah, it went this way, the green went that way, it all lines up. Geschmack. I'm going to ask you, what just happened? No idea. But it all lines up. He himself doesn't hold of it. You know what? There's a lot of people waiting, and we're very, very late. Rabbi Yosef, time out. Kufay involved today, I forgot to tell you. Kufay involved today at, I said 4? I did say 4 o'clock? I'm crazy. 4 o'clock it is, tonight in Hebrew, Kufay Vav, and right afterwards, Daf Beis in Sanhedrin. We're starting at 7:45, another 2 Shiurim, and 8:30 for Sanhedrin Daf Beis. What? So we got to change it. We got to switch everybody, get everybody out of here. The kids and Miriam. We forgot to tell you last night. We thought about it last night. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great trip.
Thank you.